You and I have been looking at this data earlier on, the list of countries, particularly with sex offences: Afghanistan, Eritrea, Namibia, Chad. These are countries ostensibly from the Middle East, from Africa. They're culturally very distant to our own. What's going on with nations like this? What is it that's driving a seeming propensity, a proven propensity, to be more misogynistic, to commit more sex crime? What is it about these nations?
Well, there's parts of the world where the prevailing social and cultural norms, especially when it comes to women's rights, the protection of women and girls, they're fundamentally different to the prevailing social and cultural norms here in the UK. And I've always said that that is something that should be reflected in our immigration system. Now, when we have these debates on immigration, a lot of it is focused on the economics. Now, don't get me wrong, I actually think that it's very important that migrants contribute in a positive sense when it comes to economics. And I think that all too often we've seen that many waves of migration, they've generally been lowly skilled, low wage. They're certainly not attracting the brightest and the best from an economic perspective. But I think that when it comes to social, political, cultural and legal norms, the compatibility on those fronts, I think that that's also very important to have when it comes to a functioning and effective immigration system.
Rakib, there are 87 nationalities with a higher conviction rate for sex offences than Britain versus the British population. Of the 25 nationalities with the highest sexual offence conviction rates, we awarded over 53,000 visas to people from those countries, where they're higher than Brits, all 87. We issued over 500,000 visas to these nations. Now, Rakib Ehsan, nobody is saying that everybody from Afghanistan or Eritrea or any of these nations is a sex offender, but the data is the data. Is there a case, do you think, of using this as a framework for some kind of effective immigration policy? How about we limit or strictly vet anybody coming from any of these countries?
I'm a strong supporter of data-driven policy, and you have to look at the patterns of association here. I also think that, and this is something that's reflected when it comes to the ongoing small boats emergency on the English South Coast, much of that migration is ultimately young, unattached males originating from parts of the world which have very different attitudes towards women and girls. This is the end result, unfortunately. And I think that if you continue to persist with what I consider to be a ridiculously lax immigration policy, we certainly don't have a rigorous and selective immigration system, then that poses very serious problems from a law and order perspective.